everybody, Joe here from Mainline Overland. We are currently in our new GX550 and we're headed up to our New Hampshire store for a trail ride with Ridgeback Guide Service tomorrow. This is going to be a green trail ride, but we're super excited to get the new GX out in its stock form and really test out its capabilities. We really wanted to wheel this bone stock so we could really get a baseline for how capable it is and find out those weak points and strong points. So when we're modifying it, we can really target those areas where it could really use some help. So super excited to get this out on trail, get a little dirty, and hopefully not bang it up this weekend. Okay, so we just wrapped up a morning out here on the trails in New Hampshire. We're at our lunch stop right now. Just wanted to give my kind of first impressions wheeling the new GX550. First of all, on the ride up here and on all the kind of country roads, this thing is absolutely butter smooth, pretty darn quick, but the suspension is just like, it's almost like skating over glass. And then we got it on the trail and I've been super impressed by how comfortable it is. Even compared to a build out truck with King or Fox shocks, this thing is as comfortable as those. Out here on the trail, and I've been very surprised how comfortable it is. And even this morning we were talking about like, man, this thing is so comfortable, rides so nice, super capable. It's like, should we even build this truck? It is really, really well sorted out. So I've been blown away so far, just super impressed with what Lexus did here. We haven't done anything too crazy challenging yet so far. So there might be some weaknesses that develop throughout the day, but so far I'm in love with it and really enjoying kind of learning all the angles and everything of this truck. I will say they did a great job keeping the visibility really good outside of the, looking out the windshield. You have really good sight lines of the corners of the truck with all the cameras and tech and all those features. It's super easy to drive and tell where you're at. So yeah, I'm loving it so far. So we just wrapped up our first trail ride in the new GX550. We're driving back to Pennsylvania right now. Bill and I have been talking about a lot are things we really like and things we think we could improve on with this truck. But overall, I've been super impressed with it. I wouldn't say I had lower expectations, but everything we put it through handled it really well. There's really only a few things that we can kind of nitpick and would want to improve with building this out. But I'd say as a stock platform, for people that want to run kind of basic green trails, this thing is more than capable to do it. Just chews away miles on the highway. But some of my favorite things, first of all, are the sight lines out of the truck. It has a nice, really big windshield, and the way that the hood is angled, it kind of falls off and has a sharp angle there. So you can really tell where those edges of your vehicle are. And it's got good sized mirrors, so it's just really good visibility out of it. And it's a really pleasant place to spend a day. Spent 8 hours on the trail, and I have to say this was one of the most comfortable rigs I've ever had on the trail. I've ridden in many different types of vehicles, different suspensions, and comparing this even to like King and Fox, this thing rides, I'd say, just as comfortable as those setups. So yeah, the really, really good ride quality, great visibility. And one thing I was really excited to see is that it actually shifts in and out of 4 low really quickly. That was one of my biggest complaints on the Broncos. It just took forever to shift out of 4 low, where this thing, put it in neutral, flip the switch, and by the time you look up and look at the gauge cluster, it's already switched into 4 low. So I was excited to see that as well. The last thing I love about this truck is that twin turbo V6. This thing had plenty of power. Off-road, I was never kind of wishing for more power. And when you put your foot on it on the street, this thing, it puts you in the seat and it goes. So coming from the Bronco that was also well powered, we're definitely excited to see that this had a good power plant, really more power than I could ask for. Yeah, so overall I've been super impressed with this truck. There's really only 2 or 3 things that we'd want to kind of nitpick or make improvements on. The first being, I think it needs a little bit more ground clearance. Even on this green ride, there were multiple situations where we were kind of scraping our belly on some rocks. We got touched the diff a few times. No big hits, but we were scraping a good amount on this trip. The ground clearance issue on this truck is a really pretty easy fix. When we bought this, we kind of knew we were going to be building it out. So we're probably going to throw a king suspension on here to get about 2 inches of lift. And the really nice thing about these new GXs is the fender wells are really big in them. So even with a 2-inch level kit up front, people are able to fit 35s underneath, which will give us 3 to 4 inches of extra lift over this stock vehicle. So getting those bigger tires under there will definitely help out with the ground clearance issue. Thankfully, this truck does have factory skids on it. So we're definitely protected by those skids today, but we'll see how they hold up over a couple more trail rides. We might be needing to upgrade to a heavier duty steel or aluminum skid plate setup. But hopefully with a little bit bigger tire and bigger lift on there, we're going to be scraping the bottom way less. So as I said earlier, the really soft and smooth suspension was one of my favorite things about the truck, but that does lead it to not perform the best off-road, I will say. I found myself being kind of bounced around in the truck. If rocks are kind of in that certain, kind of this right spacing, you're actually getting bounced up and down a lot inside the truck as you're going over stuff. It's super comfortable otherwise, but I would like to have a little less bouncing in there. And then also with the soft suspension, I found we were kind of bottoming out the suspension a lot. So those big kind of whoops or big holes and stuff, I could hear those bump stops hitting and kind of contributed to that bouncier ride. So I think if we get a little bit stiffer spring in here, a shock with a little bit more rebound, we might be giving up some of that ride quality, but that's kind of what, when you're building an off-road truck, you're always gonna have to compromise something to get that better off-road performance. Yeah, so there's our first impressions, our first day wheeling out with the GX550. Again, overall super impressed with the truck, did everything we asked it to do, and even outperformed some Jeeps and Broncos on certain obstacles. Certainly some of that comes down to line choice, but this truck is already an off-road beast, and I'm super excited to start breaking into the build. Once you get that suspension on there, bigger wheels and tires, we're gonna be throwing bumpers at it, sliders, so we can hopefully go tackle those black and red trails out there. So be sure to stick around for our next videos. We got a bunch of parts on order for our GX, and we're really excited to start building it. So stay tuned for that, and you can hear our opinions after we make each of those modifications. We're gonna give our opinions on how it kind of changed the truck, whether we made the right decision or wrong decision. So stay tuned for those videos, and be sure to comment down below if you like this video and if you want to see more GX550 videos from us.